Hey everybody, it's Rick and Rob. Welcome back to the Nomad Pastor Podcast.
It's good to be back.
It is amazing. Love it.
It's been, we took, because of scheduling things, we were forced to take several weeks off.
Yeah.
And,
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately, but unfortunately.
But yeah,
we
but
did
at
a
the
lot
same
of, we were
time-
doing a lot of ministry stuff too.
But at the same time, though, we were talking about this earlier, I missed it.
Me too.
And not just because of our friendship, but I missed doing the podcast.
Well, I just feel like anything we do, right? Anything I do that can bring me closer to God,
Yeah,
and this does it for me.
me too.
Right, the conversations that we have, you challenge me, I challenge you, type of thing, and our relationship's amazing.
Yeah, we've been friends for a long,
you're one of
long
my-
time.
I believe
We're
you're
close
one of my
friends.
best friends.
Yeah,
right?
me too.
And but just the conversation about God is so important in my life
Yeah,
that I miss it drastically.
yeah, I do too.
So what do you want to talk about today?
So let's talk about holidays.
Okay,
We're coming up on Thanksgiving.
we just finished Halloween.
Just finished Halloween, and for all you people out there that go from Halloween to Christmas, stop it. It's not time to sing Christmas carols yet,
Right.
and peppermint mocha shouldn't be served yet.
Yeah. I tell
It
you,
needs to come after Turkey Day.
we went. We do a Wednesday night Bible study at my pastor's house.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Gary's the pastor of Crossroads Fellowship in Tucker's Crossing, right?
Right?
Tucker's Crossroads.
Tucker's Crossroads. Yeah.
Tucker's Crossroads. I'll get it right one of
One
these
of these days, you've only been going there for what?
I know.
A
it's-
year?
It is what it is.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Sorry,
But,
Pastor.
Sorry, Pastor. But we go to his house 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
week and a half ago. We could go Wednesday, right?
Okay.
And they've already got like 2-3 Christmas trees up, stockings, and they're like, well, we have, everybody's coming in town, kids, grandkids for Thanksgiving. So they're having Christmas giving or something like that. Thanksmas or something. I don't remember what they called it.
Thanksmas. I like that. Thanksmas. That's pretty good.
I don't remember what they called it, but yeah. So it's all decked out, and I'm just like, oh Lord. We come home. Linda's like, we should get the tree out.
Let me ask you this.
You walk downstairs. We don't have the tree out.
Yeah. Well, see, several years ago, we decided to go with live trees.
Okay.
Or cut trees.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of, because it got to a point to where it was just such a hassle to drag the Christmas tree out, and you had to straighten everything out, and then you had to figure out why this set of branches over here wouldn't light up with the fake tree,
Yeah.
And then we got rid of that one and got one where you had to restring the lights, and that lasted about 1 year. And she was like, "No, I want to go to an already pre-lit tree." And we went to, and then we had the same problem again with the fiber optic pre-lit thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, rain on this. Let's just get a real tree." So, we haven't even done a Christmas tree since we've lived in the house on Berry Lane.
That's years.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did we do a Christmas tree last year? I don't remember.
Yeah. And the
And the year before that, we were in Arizona.
Well,
right?
see,
we
we-
spent
yeah,
2
yeah.
months in Arizona during the holidays, and we had a tree. It was like 3 inches tall,
like a Charlie Brown
and
tree.
it plugged in. So we had a spot in the RV that we plugged,
plugged
it
in
in.
the Christmas
That was our
tree?
Christmas tree.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was just the 2 of us and the dogs, right? It was perfect,
Yeah.
Christmas tree.
Yeah. Well, see, we used to decorate. I got stuck on the roof one time putting Christmas tree lights up.
No,
Like literally had to call a neighbor.
no, hard pass.
Yeah. So, but we decorated the yard, the porch.
You know how I do outdoor lights?
How's that?
I got one of those projector things.
See, I always wondered how good those were.
Hey, look, it works pretty good. I got 3
Yeah.
of them, right? And so you got 3 different kind of light shows, and you set them up the way you want, and that's how I decorate outside.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because I ain't getting on the roof.
Well,
I had somebody one time hanging lights on the roof, and he's like, "Hey, just hold my legs in case I fall." I'm like, "If you fall, you're falling, dude.
you're down, dude.
You ain't taking me with
So,
you."
yeah. But I had, so I ended up with some of those reindeer, the white reindeer that
Oh yeah, we
that
had all
light
that
up,
stuff
that-
out in the front yard too.
yeah. And the last year that we did that outside, I ended up taking all the lights out of one of the reindeer and replacing, like, I hung it up from a tree, like from its back legs, like
Yeah.
I'd cleaning one out,
Yeah.
And I had this big old thing of aluminum foil, like for ice rink,
Oh yeah,
kind of
Oh,
like.
yeah.
And then I put these red lights coming out of this reindeer and landing out on this ice rink.
Like he was
Like
bleeding.
it was bleeding out. I got in a little bit of trouble over that.
Yeah, I bet you did.
But anyway, it was one of the, Rebecca was like, I can't believe we're doing this.
I think we may still have some of those things, like yard ornaments that you plug in.
I've
and-
got some somewhere.
I mean, if
But
I
she
come
had-
through the shed, I probably would, but I ain't putting them up.
Well, see, she's got this village of
Is
the
it a
different houses.
nativity?
No, it's not nativity. It's like it's like the Rockwell Village.
Okay.
Rockwell
Yeah,
Village.
yeah.
It's got like the schoolhouse and the train station depot and all
For
that.
outside?
No, for inside.
For inside, okay.
Yeah, and she would set it up so that the entire Christmas village, and she had like tulle and stuff, so
Oh,
it looked
yeah,
like
yeah,
snow
yeah,
on,
yeah.
and she had light it up, and and then it got to where we would go to like Joann's or Michael's or Hobby Lobby after Christmas to find things, at like
After Christmas
the
sale.
after Christmas sale,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
70% off for
Right.
the Christmas Village stuff.
Right.
And had the little Thunderbird car, and had fire engine truck,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
All that stuff has been put up in the top of the shop
For years.
for years.
Yeah.
Because we haven't done it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm all for a nativity scene though. Like I love nativity scenes.
Well, if it's the Home Alone nativity scene,
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
My mother-in-law has the Willows. Have you seen the Willow? Like
Yeah.
you get them at Hallmark.
Yeah.
And I want to say, between us and Linda's brother and Aaron, our son, maybe the last 10 years, every Christmas we've got her a piece of the Willow.
Oh wow.
And she has every piece.
Yeah. She got it all in a curio cabinet, like.
No. I mean, she takes it out for Christmas every year, and she puts it back in the original boxes every year.
Oh wow.
I mean, it is immaculate, but it's bigger than this table,
Yeah.
right? Everything. A couple years ago, they came out with 3 new pieces, like a camel and this and that, right? So
Oh, wow.
we got them all, and I love to see it, right? I
Mhm.
really do love the nativity scene,
Yeah.
from Bethlehem, and I don't know, maybe it's just the softy in me. I mean, I know I'm fat, but
Rick has
Other-
a soft side.
I do have a
folks. He
soft
really does it. He's not a jerk all the time. I'm just
I
kidding.
mean, just most of the time. But all right, so we want to talk about holidays and Christians and
Right.
Christianity, and
right.
where do you want to go with that? Right?
So I'm kind of torn with it because I love the holidays. I love the fact of family getting together.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Where I think we get off track a lot of times with holidays, and I'm not talking just about Thanksgiving to Christmas.
yeah. Could be any holiday.
Any holiday,
Mother's
right?
Day.
Halloween,
Right.
Whatever holiday, 4th of July, whatever, where we institute our own and inject, let me say that, institute and inject our own spin on either Christian values
Mm-hmm.
or our own interpretation of what this holiday needs to mean as a Christian, that we get off path
Yeah,
and get off in the weeds when you go to Target, for instance, and they say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas.
I agree with that.
It's all about Jesus.
Yeah,
It can't be a Christmas without Christ. That was his
Unfortunately, a lot of-
birthday, you know. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Unfortunately, a lot of people do that.
Right.
All right, so let's pick some holidays specifically.
Okay.
Right? We didn't talk about this beforehand. But
No, we didn't.
Right, but let's pick Halloween first.
Okay.
Let's talk about Halloween.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Do you believe that Christians should celebrate Halloween?
So here's my.
It's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question,
right? I mean,
and so let me tell you my take on it.
okay.
Okay. So, of course, Halloween has got all this controversial beginnings, whether it was All Hallows Eve.
That's right. That's right.
Or whether it was a remembrance of the undead.
Correct.
Or, whatever. And I got pretty good at using the mic there, didn't
Yeah.
I? So,
You were like, today.
yeah. This is the Lord. So we get to a point to where we try to rationalize what we should or shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And I think for me, Halloween needs to be just a fun-loving time.
Yeah.
Now, do I get into I like to scare people.
Mm-hmm.
I like to have fun. Let me say it this way. I like to have fun and give somebody a little jolt.
Yeah.
I don't want to scare somebody into thinking that I'm actually the boogeyman that lives under the bed. But if I can if I can do something cute like that or something, I'm for that.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with going to like a costume party, but you ain't gonna catch this old boy dressed up like some demon.
Yeah. So let me ask a different question.
Okay.
Well, let me first say, I don't have a problem with Halloween in the sense of kids dressing up, having a good time, and it's filled with joy.
Right. Getting together.
Right. Getting some candy.
Yeah.
I don't need the candy, but
now if there's some Whoppers in there, I'm on
maybe
it.
some Reese's.
Yeah.
But so just on the surface, I don't generally have a problem with that.
Right.
Where I think I struggle, right, is there are people who begin to idolize the holiday.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
But I also, let me ask how you feel about it. How do you feel about a church holding a Halloween party inside the building?
No problem.
And they're allowing people to dress however they want.
Well, here's the thing. So I have been involved in so many different churches.
Yeah. Me too.
That have done haunted houses.
Okay.
I got in trouble one time. We were involved in a new church that was renting a church building from another church, another faith, church of faith.
Yep. Just different service times.
Right. And actually, we had the whole building, but they still stored some things in there.
Okay.
And I was a chainsaw dude with a choir robe on, and I got in trouble for wearing a choir robe from the people that own the church.
Okay.
But anyway, that's not here. What I'm saying, I don't have an issue with having a Halloween party at a church. Okay, and let me explain. I don't see that any different in being able to introduce Jesus to somebody than a Sunday morning service or a Thursday night recovery group meeting.
Yeah.
Or anytime somebody comes in off the street, and let's say a young couple comes in off the street, and she's got a super high miniskirt on.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the difference in her coming into a church service like that and being able to show how a woman should dress modestly?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not saying that you got to wear a skirt down around your ankles.
Yeah.
You know
I know exactly what you're saying. I think.
Okay, so what's the difference in being able to show somebody that and having a trick or treat, or a party at Halloween at a church, where somebody comes in and you're able to show them why they shouldn't be.
Do you think there's boundaries though?
In what way?
Well, because, if we use the example that you just used, right? A woman coming in with a short mini skirt, you're supposed to love them and bring them in and do whatever you can to help them, right?
Right.
But is there boundaries where, the church shouldn't have somebody running around like the devil? Right? Is there boundaries? I think there is. This is my opinion.
Okay.
Right?
So
I think there are boundaries, right? I think that you shouldn't. Halloween itself
Mm-hmm.
for children, not a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as adults, we're supposed to, even Christians, right? We're supposed to be above reproach at times,
Right.
right? And so if I'm telling people it's okay to run around like I'm a demon, I mean, that's in theory, I'm idolizing that, right? That's what I want it to be,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Okay.
I'm not saying don't have a haunted house or don't have a fall festival or a trunk or treat or a this, but should there be parameters around what's okay and what's not?
I see what you're saying. And I incline to agree.
Yeah.
Um,
I personally don't think a church should. I think if you want to have a fall festival and call it a fall festival and you're not having church staff dressed up, okay. Right? But a haunted house or a Halloween inside the church, I don't know. Go to a community event where you can give out candy.
okay, so I see both sides of the line on that.
I know you do. I didn't think we would completely agree. And we don't always, and that's okay.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard, I'm sure you have, heard the song Set Me Free by Casting Crowns?
Yes.
Right? Have you ever seen the skit
No.
that's done around that song?
No.
Okay. Google it. Go to YouTube.
All right.
Watch it.
Okay.
Okay. It was done on a church stage the first time I ever saw it. I've been involved in this skit.
Yep.
I completely 100% think that this is a huge, huge, huge ministerial tool, right?
Yep.
So the gist of it is, devil bad, God good.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's the
Yeah,
gist of the whole gist of the skit.
Yeah.
In it, this young man is walking along and gets entangled in the different things of life. Lust.
That's Pilgrim's
Alcohol.
Progress, right?
It is. It really is.
It's Pilgrim's Progress.
So it's a Pilgrim's
But
Progress.
there's a difference on a Sunday when somebody came to a service that they're watching a skit where they see the pastor and other members of the congregation
Mm-hmm.
perform this skit that can be explained to them.
Right.
There's a difference with that, and I don't know who's who because they're all dressed up, and some of them are dressed up like the devil, and some of them are dressed up like demons, and maybe it's the pastor. I don't really know. And we just walk through this haunted house inside a church, and nobody really talks to me. I don't know what's going on. I'm just here to have my kids run through the haunted house.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk about. Let me go back to the skit first,
right,
okay?
sorry.
Because so in part of the skit is there is a guy dressed up as as a perceived devil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
In my involvement in this, okay, in my involvement in this skit, and I just recently was, okay, the guy that played the part of the devil, right, was prayed up before and after the skit,
Absolutely.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
so let me get that out of the way. When talking about this, pastors not or church staff not dressing up as a demon and things like that, I can subscribe to that. Okay, and I'm not saying that I'm on this side of the line that says they shouldn't. I'm not saying that I'm on the other side of the line that says it's okay. What I'm saying is, in context of that, and not having some sort of explanation of good versus evil at the end of it, and an opportunity to understand of what repentance is, and understanding of what taking the responsibility for what sin is in your life is, so that Jesus can wash it away.
Yeah.
That haunted house is no good.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately, I haven't been involved in the haunted houses that you have been.
Right.
But there's not the right opportunity to have those conversations when people are hustling through a haunted house.
Right. Because of organization.
That's right.
So in that, it gets back to your perception and people's perception of what your perception is.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
So in something, and we're talking about Halloween. So in the preparation for planning that, we need to dig deeper into the way that people shuffle through.
I would agree with that.
Because if it's just single file line going through like you're going through a roller coaster ride, then you're having this for the wrong reason.
Yeah. Look, I love a haunted house. Halloween comes, I'm like, which haunted houses can we go to?
Right? I
love a good
enjoy
haunted
them.
house.
I don't
But
do
I
them
also-
anymore, but yeah.
But I also, I mean, it's been years and years and
Yeah,
years
yeah,
since
yeah.
I've went. But I also don't idolize them. And to
Correct.
some extent, I do believe that it's the responsibility of a parent to make sure that their children know what's going on,
I agree.
right?
I agree.
Because I think far too often we idolize the candy holiday,
That's it.
not the demon holiday, not the devil,
Right,
not the
right.
kids don't know all that stuff,
Right.
right? But we allow the children to idolize the candy holiday.
Mm-hmm.
I get to dress up and I get lots of candy.
Right. All I got to do is go up there and go trick or treat, smell my
Right.
feet, give me something good to eat.
That's
right.
right.
So, but in your assessment of how parents should be able to differ, so let's go back to this church
Absolutely.
hold the
Sorry.
haunted house
Yeah, yeah,
thing. Right? And there, I'm doing this for a reason, not to rebut anything,
Yeah.
but
It's
or
okay.
refute.
Even
okay?
if you are, it's okay.
But I know, but still, what I'm saying is to further pound that home. You were talking about parents should be able to have that conversation. What about parents that don't know,
Right.
that are coming off the street?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's even more important at that point for a church that is doing something like that to have that cool down, breakdown period to where let's break this down what you just walked through.
Yeah.
I saw a thing. I still haven't been able to go to one because of schedules and stuff like that. But I even saw a billboard in Lebanon for the Heaven or Hell thing that comes out at Halloween. A lot of different churches do it. I know Freedom Church in Gallatin did one.
I think I remember seeing one for Love's Way, maybe
From where?
from Love's Way.
Yeah. Love's Way Church did one. Yeah, but it's Heaven or Hell, and it's like a play,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And at the end of it, it was like there's a question and answer session, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I've never
And
been
there's
to one.
Right.
You know,
I've
and
never been to one either,
I'm
but
not a. This is just personal for me. I'm not really a full gospel church kind of guy. Like, you know, you're gonna fall out. I'm gonna touch you.
oh yeah.
You know, Benny Hinn style.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. I'm
And look, to each their own. I'm just that's not me.
well. That's another podcast. And you really need to get the book Misled.
I know.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Get it. So anyway, what I'm saying is having that opportunity to be able to break down what you just experienced,
Right.
and not that we need to share Jesus and share the gospel in an emotional way, but in a truthful way, in an unbiased way, in a here's the nuts and bolts of all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, God good, devil bad.
Yeah.
You know, and
I guess I just feel like there's not time to do that generally for churches. Mainly not because the church doesn't want to, but I think we've come to this time in society where it's not necessarily safe for your kids to run around the neighborhood.
yes.
So there's
Right.
less and less. You know,
Yeah.
when we were kids, it was
we took off. There was 4 of us going trick or treat without any adults.
2 different costumes,
Yeah.
4 different neighborhoods.
Right.
Like, let's go get
Yeah.
some candy, right?
Yeah.
But now I feel like it's not as safe for parents to do that. So parents are doing more. We're going to go to this church and then this church, and then we're going to do
Right.
this fall festival, and we're going to do
Right.
this trunk or
Yeah.
treat, and we're
Yeah.
going to go to the Lebanon Square at this time. And so because the dynamic has changed, I don't think churches have the ability to have that time. So if you're not going to have the ability to have that time, what are you like? The reason to open your doors is to show people love.
Mm-hmm.
The reason to open your doors is to, you know, give people more than what they had when they walked in.
Right.
are you doing that when you don't have an opportunity to talk to them? Because it's just about, for a lot of families, it's like, I'm going to go here and then here and then here and then here.
So I think it gets back to like what I was saying before with planning it all out.
Yeah.
And we don't have full pews. I mean, our seats aren't filled in the church right now because people, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you plan something
But
like
that's
this,
only when, I think, my opinion, I think they don't want to hear that when it's a condemning message.
well,
It's
What-
not an easy message. So I'm not sitting
Well,
here trying to say it should be watered down.
I'm not,
Right?
and at the same time though, what condemns me or convicting? Let's say convicting instead of condemning.
Yeah, yeah,
okay, because what convicts me and shows me may be different than what it would be for you.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so when we say condemning, there should never be a condemning message where we're condemning people. That's not our job, first of all.
I agree with that.
Okay, but the conviction,
Yeah.
and presentation is where we should go with this,
Yeah, I agree.
right? So, because I'm it's not my job to condemn.
I can judge nobody.
Well, now I can look. I can be a
judge
food
them. I can
inspector.
judge
Now,
people. And it's a sin for me to judge them, right?
Well,
Depending on what's going on, right? Because there's a proper way to do it. There's a biblical way.
okay,
So, right? We know
There
we
is.
know that.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a biblical way.
right,
It's not just, it doesn't just say don't judge, although a lot of people take that out of context.
exactly.
But there's a biblical way to have those conversations,
True,
right?
true.
But I can't judge somebody's salvation.
Exactly. So in that presentation of what salvation looks like,
Yeah.
and what it requires,
Yeah,
and the way that it happens,
I agree with that. Yeah.
okay? There needs to be some of that forethought and planning so that at the end of the haunted house tour,
Yeah.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
those things can be approached, presented, and a question and answers of an understanding after.
Yeah. I've been against it for a long time, right? Halloween in the church. And I think if the approach was different, I would probably have a different feeling. Like what I just thought about was when Linda and I went and toured the Ark. Have you been to the Ark in Kentucky?
I haven't. I want to go so bad.
Oh my gosh, you got to go. You got to go, right?
Okay.
You just got to go. When we went and toured the Ark, several points throughout the tour, right? And it's a self-guided tour.
Mm-hmm.
But several times throughout the tour, there's a stop and a pause. And that pause is like, watch this video.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about, because there's a point in there like, what about dinosaurs? What about
Yeah.
what about the water system? Like, how did you have clean water? How did you have this? And like all these things on the Ark. What about fossils, right? Where do they go?
Mm-hmm.
And it teaches you all these things, but at several points throughout, there's a pause.
Mm-hmm.
And it explains to you what you have just seen,
Oh wow.
right? And so maybe I would have less issues with a haunted house if throughout it there was pauses,
Okay.
right? And somebody said, "You're loved. Here's this. Here's," right? Not what you just saw, but
Right.
but there's
Yeah.
planning like you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was a pause a couple times throughout, so it didn't seem like it was so large at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to have a 20-minute thing at the end of it.
Yeah.
It'd be like 2 minutes here, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes here type of deal, right?
Well, that's a pretty cool idea.
Maybe I would be more open to it then.
I like that. Let's do it.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean?
I mean, you do it at your church.
I don't have enough rooms in my church.
We don't either.
Yeah.
We do a fall festival, right?
Yeah.
I didn't go to it, but
We had a trunk or treat.
I brought. That's what it is. I mean, it's still fall festival.
Yeah, same thing.
We took a ton of candy,
Yeah.
made a bunch of donuts.
I was out of town.
Yeah. Where were we? I don't know where we were. All right, so we've talked a little bit about Halloween,
Right?
right? What about other holidays?
You want to shift gears?
Yeah.
Where you want to go to?
I don't care. Just holidays in general, maybe.
No. Let's call some
Specific.
specific ones.
Well,
Specific ones.
let's just go to the big one.
All right.
Easter.
Easter. Ooh.
You thought I was going to say Christmas.
I did. I did. Now we're talking about my candy, though.
Yeah,
The
we are.
Cadbury egg.
We are talking about your kids.
See?
Yeah.
So the two biggest church services of the year are what?
Christmas and Easter.
Yeah, Christmas and Easter.
The C&E crowd.
Yep. So why is Easter pushed harder than Palm Sunday?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Why is Easter pushed harder than the second Sunday of July,
I don't know.
right after Independence Day?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why is it? But
What about Good Friday?
exactly. Why is there a Maundy Thursday service for some churches and Ash Wednesday? And so here's my point. For Easter, I look at Easter as the day that we as a body of believers celebrate the resurrection.
Right.
I'm not saying that Easter Sunday was the day that Jesus
But it's when we
resurrected.
celebrate.
That's when we celebrate.
Yeah.
It's just like, President's Day, or Abraham Lincoln's birthday, which
Yeah.
we know those are that's a specific day. Obviously, we have historical evidence of that.
Correct.
But what I'm saying is, for Easter, for me, that's the day. That's not the only day,
Yeah.
but that's a day to where the focus only on the resurrection happens. Now, the Easter Bunny and
But when you
Jelly
look at the
bellies.
holiday, how do people know that? If you're not like walking with Christ and you look at that holiday, how do people know that that's why it's there?
I don't think they do.
So how do we I mean, clearly tons of people go to church on Christmas and Easter that are not walking it out every day,
Right.
right? That doesn't mean they're not Christian. They're just
So let me ask you this. So is that out of guilt from a family member or guilt from a conviction inside their own head?
I think it is one of three things. Those two,
Okay.
or they were invited that day. I think there's a large number of Christians
Mm-hmm.
that believe, oh, it's Easter. I'm going to invite somebody today. And if you look at the build up to Christmas and Easter,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of churches will start giving you things.
Yeah, friendship cards and things
Right.
like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
give these to your friends. Have them come for
Right.
Christmas. Give these
Yeah.
to your friends. Have them come for Easter. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we like every day? Give these to your friends. Have them come.
Well, let me ask you this. Why is Easter and Christmas the only two times we have cantatas?
I don't know.
I mean, really?
I don't know.
Why aren't we having this huge festival every Sunday?
Well, it should be. I mean,
That's a celebration.
angels celebrate, right?
But at the same time, it's something that, we come together for life.
Yeah, we do.
What difference is that? And I had
We're not trying to minimize the resurrection.
not
Right,
at
that-
all.
Let's just. I don't know
Not at
why.
all.
I just felt like I needed to say that. It was probably like
Yeah.
Spirit saying, "Okay, say this real quick."
Yeah.
Right? We're not minimizing the resurrection.
Not at all, because if it wasn't for the resurrection, we wouldn't be here.
That's right.
So, but what we're saying is, why do we play up these things as a selling point
That's my question. Right?
instead of selling the point?
That's right.
I
know it's a great way to get people to go to church.
Right, but getting
Right.
people to go to church doesn't
It shouldn't be once or twice a year.
seal it. Right.
It does not seal it. Like, oh, I went, check.
Right.
I used to believe that, not just on the Easter and Christmas, but I mean, we've talked about it, right? I went to church. I'm good.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want the rest of the week,
Yeah.
right?
Hey, I'll be honest with you. There were times I would get up on Sunday morning, lead worship, go home and drink that night.
Yeah,
Drink to oblivion
yeah,
that night.
that's hard.
And so, I had this I had this great visual for people to see that was a blank, it wasn't an introspective look into what I was.
You showed what you wanted them to see.
Right. And that's what happens when we don't allow ourselves full respect of what the gospel is.
Yeah.
And too many times we expect to hammer in what the gospel is on Easter and Christmas to those twice-a-year crowds.
Yeah.
And I would like to see more of a concerted effort for, and I don't think that just coming, inviting people to church, and getting them in a routine of coming is going to be what makes them come full circle to Christ.
It's not. I mean, there's got to be a heart change.
There's got to be. And until we figure out how we go about allowing the Holy Spirit to make that conviction.
Yeah, that's the key more than anything.
Right.
Like I said, I mean, we went to church every Sunday, Linda and I, and I checked out when I left.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm paying my tithing, I'm going to church, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm covered.
Right.
But I didn't really have a heart change.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And once I had a heart change, game's over.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say game over, but
the old game.
The old game's over.
Yeah.
Right? It's a new game. And
yeah, it's a whole new ball game.
Do you think sometimes, I hate to admit this, but sometimes on Easter I'm like, there's not going to be nowhere to sit. I'm going to
go to the sunrise service because nobody else is going to get up at the crack of dawn and watch it.
It's going to be hot in there because there's 8,000 more people.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it's going to be miserable. Yeah.
I hate to admit that, but sometimes I'm like, I know what the message is going to be.
Yeah. The last...
I still go, but...
yeah. Yeah. Linda won't let you stay home. The last several years... the last several years, it's been, of course, my pastor is a expositional teacher. He's not topical.
Yeah.
And love that.
Yeah.
So we've been in the middle of a series the last couple of Easters, and it's been, it wasn't your typical.
Because he keeps going down that series.
Right.
Which he should.
Right. Now, there's a tie-in.
Yeah, yeah.
And it never ceases to fail that wherever we're at in that expositional study at the time or in that teaching at the time, that it just works.
Yeah. Yeah.
For Easter or for Christmas, either one.
And, I love that. I do. I love that.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why I love that. Because I believe if somebody goes... for the Easter service or the Christmas service only, we'll just use Easter. If somebody goes for the Easter service and, that's the only one they normally go to, generally they're going to hear the exact same message every year.
Sure.
Right. But if your preacher is expositional, right, and he has a plan, like, I'm going to do this for 10 weeks, and you go on Easter Sunday and it's week 5, a lot of people, maybe it's just me, but if I went and it was week 5, and it was a really good message, I'd be like, I got to go listen to week 1 through 4.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because it wasn't just catered to this specific event,
exactly.
this specific day. Right? I think sometimes pastors do themselves and their congregation an injustice by having a dedicated, now, unless you're topical all the time, right? But I think you do yourself an injustice if you change your preaching style just for that day.
I agree. And not just the style, but the message that you're delivering.
Yeah, the message. The message. Like if your style is to preach through books of the Bible, right, for weeks at a time, then you should always do that.
Hey, dude, we spent 59 weeks in 1 Peter.
Look, when I went to, when Linda and I went to Life Point. Yeah. He did Acts.
Oh, my.
For like 4 years,
Yes.
right? But what he would do is he would do 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
He'd do Acts for 6 months, and then he would do Romans for 6 months. And then he would come back to Acts for 6 months.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was like a common thing. We'd go to church and he'd be like, okay, we're going to do Acts. And we'd be like, oh, Lord. Are we going to do Acts forever?
Yeah.
Right. But that was how he
Yeah.
preached. And it was like, learned a ton of stuff.
Hey.
You know, the pastor is Pat Hood. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing though, right? It didn't
Right.
matter. He was preaching what he was going to preach.
Right. Yeah. We did 49 weeks in Exodus and just got to Exodus chapter 20.
Yeah, that's about right.
You know, 49
Yeah.
weeks.
That's about right though.
Yeah. But my point is, and to go back to your point at the same time, you're doing an injustice to just on that day
Yeah.
preach that day.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, because human nature, you know, is gonna, the intrigue is gonna be one, you know, more thing. But at the same time, people that are coming to an Easter service are going to realize that it's an Easter service.
Yeah.
And people that are coming to a Christmas service are going to think, oh, this is just going to be about Jesus' birthday.
Right.
You know, what's that? Luke chapter what? 2? What? Where is it again?
Right.
Well, I don't need to go to
Yeah.
that. I'll just go read it if I want to know more about it.
Yeah. I know what he's going to say.
Right. So I'm to inject or interject or to intersect those, especially those 2 days.
Yeah.
Those two, because they're Sunday, you know, Christmas Sunday or Easter Sunday or whatever, you know, to just make it about either.
But it's always Easter Sunday. Christmas is the one that
That
may or may
fluctuates.
not be on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But
so
there's always the Christmas Eve
there's
service.
always a Christmas Eve service.
Yeah.
right?
Always a Christmas Eve
Al-
service.
You know, little skit performed. You know, the manger in Bethlehem.
A
and,
kid
you know,
named Leon.
right. 12-pound baby.
We're way off in the
He's
weeds.
5 years old playing the baby Jesus.
Yeah. Joseph.
Yeah. Which I love. Right. We go to Christmas
Yeah.
Eve services. I love when there's prayer time around it.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I love the little skits. I love to see the kids involved.
I do too.
Right.
I like going to and hearing the, you know, like the Christmas choir and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, the kids choir and stuff.
Yeah. You know, but I think more than anything, as we talk about holidays just in general, you know, and it goes back, we've talked about this topic a lot, not holidays, but the topic of idols,
Uh-huh.
right? And I think that as Christians, we just have to recognize it's not about don't do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not about, oh, you shouldn't have your kids trick or treat. Some people believe that, right? And
Right.
that's okay. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that belief.
Yeah.
But don't put it above God. Don't put your belief that it shouldn't be done above God,
Or that it should be above.
or
God.
or that it should be.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
Exactly.
idolize the holiday itself,
Right.
or don't idolize your right to deny the holiday.
Right.
I-
And the self-righteous seekers
yeah.
that do, I don't want to say I and so let me frame this.
Yeah.
Okay, because as Christians, we are to defend the faith.
We are.
Okay,
We absolutely are.
the faith. We are to give a ready defense for it.
Yeah, but not the holiday.
Well, let's zoom out just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So let's pretend. Let me give you a scenario here.
Okay.
Okay. So I am someone who believes that Halloween should not be celebrated at all. Right.
Okay.
I think it should be outlawed. We'll say this is scenario.
I was going to say, are you saying that, or are you,
I'm giving you a
a
scenario.
scenario?
Okay.
Okay.
And I, as a Christian, a firm scriptural Christian,
Yeah.
right? believe that it is my responsibility to show others the way of Christ.
Okay.
Okay? In that belief, in that mode of thinking, could you see that part of what my thinking in showing others the way of Christ would be to preach against or teach against Halloween?
No,
Why?
because Christ was 100% about love. Everything he has done for us is loving.
Okay.
And for me, and I'm not a fan of Halloween, right? To each their own type of
Right.
thing, right? We don't, my grandkids do it and everything, and
I don't like kids, so I don't do Halloween.
We turn our lights off.
Yeah.
But like this year, we went to the RV park and they had a Halloween hayride, and we gave out candy. Right?
Yeah.
We prayed for everybody. Right at the beginning, they were getting ready to have dinner. And I'm like, hey, can we pray?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna be me,
Yeah.
right? But how do I show somebody love and condemn them at the same time? Because I feel like when you're preaching against something,
is that condemning?
well, maybe. It depends on how you
so?
do it.
How so?
I think it depends on how you do it.
So if you preach against something, it's condemnation.
I think it depends on how you do it.
Explain.
Well, because it's easy to say, for me to say, I'm not a huge fan of Halloween, but, I understand that it's a joyous occasion for kids.
It's a happy occasion, not a joyous occasion.
It's a happy occasion,
okay,
right?
I'll go there.
That's a different message than you're celebrating Halloween and going to go to hell. Because I've heard Christians,
okay, I see,
right?
Okay, I see
I've heard Christians say,
I see what you're saying now.
Okay. This is a demonic, evil, devil-influenced holiday, and by you supporting it, you're supporting the devil and evil, and you are doomed to damnation. I have seen and heard Christians say that.
Okay, I've heard Christians say 2 out of the 3. Right, as far as it's a demon holiday, and for you to recognize it is celebrating demons. I've heard
celebration of demons is you're cursed, right?
Okay, so I understand now what you're saying. So, as someone who, let me get back to my illustration, my example. Okay, as someone who believes that. In my illustration, okay,
right. It's not what you. It's just
not personally, but if I were someone to say, "Hey, this is a demonic holiday,"
okay,
it's a demonic celebration,
okay,
and for you to celebrate it, put you in the same category as celebrating demons. Am I wrong in telling them that? Now I stopped there.
Yeah.
I'm not condemning at that point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying you're going to hell.
Right.
All right. What I'm saying is showing what I believe to be the light and the way of Christ.
Yeah.
Because Jesus, in this illustration, I would say Jesus wouldn't celebrate Halloween because it's the celebration of demons and the undead.
I think I probably have a different answer today than I would have before Christ.
Okay.
Right? Because I think when I was coming to Christ, or before I came to Christ, we've talked about me growing up in Utah and the Mormons,
right?
And all that. But I would have probably asked, show me in the Bible where this is a demonic holiday.
Okay.
Show me in the Bible where it says that this is bad.
Okay. So
I'm just saying that's what I would have said. So
right,
if we play it out,
I get that. I get that.
If we play it out,
I get that.
That's an honest thing that somebody's going to ask.
So
or could ask, right?
Right. So let me ask you this: is all, and this is how I would answer that question.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've heard me talk about this before. We know certain things from scriptural history, oral history, rabbinical history, and canonical history.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
we know things about the Bible through those.
That's right.
Right? There are, it is believed, there are other writings about Christ, not about Old Testament things
Correct.
that are not part of canonical Bible.
And why are they not? So if we were just playing it out, right, I would just say, why are they not?
I don't know that answer.
Right. Because the apologetic answer to why are they not is that there wasn't enough proof.
Right.
Right. There wasn't enough proof of those findings, or they occurred so much later after the death of Christ.
Right. That they weren't included because of that.
That there was 2 or 3 generations.
Right.
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 So if you look at the New Testament, which is the newest thing after the Torah, right?
Right.
There's this timeline of, 30, 40 BC to 73 or 79 or something like that, right?
Right.
And they did that for a reason, because it was actual accounts.
True.
So other writings were not included in the biblical text because they couldn't be verified.
Right. So here's my point, though.
Right.
We know of things through oral history and other canonical things, right? We know we have that support that they are true.
Correct.
Okay. And going back to show me in the Bible where this is a demonic holiday.
Yeah.
We can go back to the origins of what All Hallowed Eve is, right? And we can go back. Yeah. So we can pinpoint that.
Yeah.
And realize that the way that it started was a paganistic celebration of the undead.
Yeah.
Zombies.
Yeah.
Right? So we have these things that we can go back to prove that we know from what we or that we can therefore interpret because of what we know from the Bible, that the paganistic holiday is not something that a Christian should be involved in.
I agree.
Okay.
Right? So if that is the stance, we're at 52 minutes, by the way.
Oh my goodness, I didn't realize we were 52.
I didn't either. So I agree with what you just said, right? Right. Even though I was like, before Christ, this is what I would have asked.
Right.
Right. But today I agree, right? If you trace the roots of it, it is a paganistic holiday. Right. And we're not supposed to, be involved in those paganistic ways. So if that's the truth, and there is actual, when you trace the origins of it, why is it okay for a church to have a haunted house?
I want to read you something.
Right?
Let me.
Because these are the questions that people have.
Right.
Right.
Here it is.
Batman is looking something.
I'm looking up a verse. Hold on.
I know.
Right here.
It's going to be like some do it for the wrong reason, or
no.
It's not Philippians.
No. Matthew 16:18. Hang on a second. Let me pull this up real quick.
Yeah. You're good.
Because I want to get everything correct here. Hang on. Not that one. Here it is.
It's okay.
Okay. So Matthew 16, starting in verse 13.
All right.
When Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, you know what that is?
No.
Okay. So you were talking about, we were talking about Halloween and all this.
Yeah.
Right? So this is an area that was dedicated to Caesar that had become paganistic. Okay. And where they were, it is believed was the same as what Vegas is today. Okay, with all the different things that are going on.
Yeah.
And right in the mouth of this like cave thing, Jesus says, "Upon this rock I will build my church." Right? If Jesus can take the apostles to a place that is reflective of what we know today of modern day Vegas, and say, the gates of hell are not going to prevail against this.
Yeah.
and I'm going to work my church.
Yep.
Right here.
Yep.
Right here.
Yeah.
Then a church can have a haunted house and have those pauses that we talked about, or have that end area at the end of it to be able to say, what you have just seen is XYZ.
Yeah. But that's different, right? It's
How?
It's different that Christ went there with the apostles to the place that the sin already existed,
Okay.
right? He didn't have a church and then create the sin for people to come to.
Okay. We're deep in this right now.
We are, and we're going to keep going.
You want to keep going?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So here's the thing. Is that's kind of a trick question. What I was going to say is,
let me do. It's okay if you ask me a trick question, but I still want to go back to the right, because that scripture, right? He went to the den of sin,
right.
right? He didn't build the den of sin for people to come to.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
So if a church is building a haunted house to get people there, they're building that den to bring people to it, to bring them to the sin. Is that okay? Because what he says in that scripture is drastically misused when it comes to Halloween.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
So, again,
in that context that you're talking about, I agree with that.
Right?
I agree with that.
And
but here's my point.
Okay.
My point with that was in effective presentation, and
I know what you're saying. It's not that we said if there's these pauses, if there's these
right.
times,
That's what I'm saying, right?
So I'm just trying to play the advocate of, like, how are people going to see this outside the Christian faith?
So I guess it's one of those things you got to see it to believe it. Okay, but that's a cop out.
It is.
But at the same time, when you have something like this, and you bring people in to show the peril of sin, right?
Yep.
And then you pause and say, do you realize what you just saw? That all looked fun and that looked enticing, and those things, were scary, and there was a whole lot of stage production there, but let me explain to you what you just saw.
Right.
Is there a difference in that and a preacher standing in the pulpit on Sunday morning and saying, do you realize what happens to you when you drink all night long? Or when you XYZ?
I mean, the only difference is the preacher standing in the pulpit Sunday morning saying, do you know what happens when you drink all night? He didn't bring the drink to you.
Okay.
Right? He didn't drag you to the bar.
That's true.
And say, drink this, and then I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't.
Okay. I'm with you on that. I see your point. I see your point.
I mean, that's a huge difference. No, it is, right? Because the preacher didn't drag him to the bar and say, drink this.
Okay, but when you bring it into a haunted house.
So then would it be okay for the preacher to open a bar at the church, say, come on in and drink, and after you drink, I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't?
No.
What's the difference?
Well, because no.
It's a valid question, right?
And actually, it is a valid question, but let me explain the difference.
Yeah.
Okay, because in inviting someone to a bar to drink and then go, oh, do you know what you did? You know what the perils of this are different than showing them what the perils are and not inviting them to participate, just to visualize it, just to see it, because you're not. Yes, there's going to be some emotional reaction there in fear and the boo factor and things like that.
Yeah.
But in inviting them in, because to witness something is different than participating in that sense. In that sense.
Aren't you participating if you have a haunted house?
What do you mean?
I mean, you're participating in that potential, visualization of the devil or demonic forces. You're in participation.
Well, remember when we started this off and I talked about the skit?
I know. But that's different because I've said, right, in the
What's
skit,
different about it?
in the skit, they start
You're
off
playing the
with,
devil.
Well, yeah. Do they preface what's going on before the skit occurs?
No.
Right? I would think they should.
Why? For impact?
I probably, right?
But
they're prayed up too. Like I think it's just I don't know.
So why can we pray up the guy that plays the devil in the skit and not pray up the people who are in the haunted house that are going to represent what that craziness?
You can, but on Sunday people are like I don't know. I feel like somebody going to Sunday service and seeing a skit is not representing a paganistic holiday.
So presentation in presenting what that is, visualizing what that is participating in a pagan holiday. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. Is it? I don't know.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I don't know if it is or if it isn't. I know that it's a gray area for me.
And we ought to stay away from a gray area to begin with.
I think we should, right? Because a gray area can pull you the other way.
True.
Right?
True.
That's just like if you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
You can't drink ever.
No.
Right?
No.
Because that one drink can ruin
you over the edge.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's different.
It is.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying you are either.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying I am.
That's right. No. And it's, I think it's a discussion that a lot of people have or should have when it relates to Halloween.
And I think it's a matter of where the question that you need to ask yourself is this something that's going to cause me, spiritual harm? Yeah. Is this something that's going to cause me to go backwards?
Yeah.
Or is this something that could potentially cause me to stumble or cause other people to stumble around?
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. We're an hour over.
Yeah, we're going to have to land this.
You know the game Magic: The Gathering.
Magic what?
The Gathering. It's like a magic card.
Oh, yeah. Is
it okay to play that in church?
I don't think so.
Why is that different?
Well, I don't know the whole parameter of the game.
It's about spells and cards.
Right.
Cast this and do that, right?
Like Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing with a deck of cards.
But Magic, right? Like Dungeons and Dragons is more roll the dice.
Right.
I mean, I guess I've never played, but I guess it's similar. Right? So would it be okay to say we're going to have a Magic tournament in the church today because we want to reach out to those people?
See, that's a different thing.
Is it?
Yes.
Why?
Because having a Magic tournament where somebody could come in and not understand what the difference in good versus evil is.
So what about a haunted house where somebody's not going to understand the difference between?
That's what we're talking about, having the pauses. And that's what we're talking about at the end,
But does churches do that, honestly?
I don't think so.
Right. So at this point,
because and we talked about that at the beginning too, because so many people just want to come through and get their candy and go, right?
That's right.
So
if that's the only reason for it, people want to come through and get their candy and go,
then don't do it.
They don't want to listen to a pause.
Exactly.
Right. So why continue to do it?
I don't think you should.
Yeah.
But if you can do it to where, like we talked about before,
I would support it if you could do it that way. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's not that I'm against Halloween.
I know what you're saying, and I've known you long enough to know that.
Just for everybody listening, right? It's not me being combative, right?
I'm not trying to say we can't get Whoppers and Reese's Pieces.
I am all about it.
Yeah.
I just don't think that it's not that I don't think. Now, again, I didn't go to my church's fall festival, so I don't know. It was like,
Yeah.
how they do it. But I haven't seen a church that did it in a way that I felt like glorified God over just give people candy.
Yeah.
And so if all it is going to be about is giving people candy,
Just give people candy. Why does it have to be
why do
Halloween?
that?
Yeah.
You
I
can
have
give
a better
candy
idea.
every week.
I have a better idea than giving candy.
Okay.
I think what we should do is scramble a bunch of eggs
Yeah.
and put them out there in a big old bowl and say 1 handful per kid.
Scrambled eggs. Love it.
It's better for you than candy.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And
And it's cheaper.
let's give you a Bible.
I'm all about that.
Let's do something.
All
All
about that.
We started this to talk about holidays. We got to like 2 or 3.
We've been away too long.
Stupid Halloween.
Yeah.
Again,
It is.
it's not that neither of us are against Halloween,
No.
right?
No.
Because we don't idolize it. We
Right.
don't, right? We recognize what's going on. And,
Right.
and if you love Halloween and you don't idolize it, good for you,
Yeah.
right? You want to dress up. You want to go have a
Yeah.
happy, good time and be
Go-
with your friends.
Yeah. Barbecue some
Praise-
stuff. Yeah.
Praise God that you can do that,
Right.
right? But Halloween is no different than anything else that you could idolize,
Yep.
right? And if you
Exactly.
idolize it, it's a problem.
Exactly.
It's that simple, right?
Yep.
And so that's how I would probably land it,
That's how it needs to be landed.
right? It's not a bad thing.
It's not.
It's just got to
It's
be
not.
done the right way.
Done the right way. Hey, folks, we appreciate you hanging in with us this long. This has been a long one. It's been a good one, but
Yeah.
you know what? We appreciate you hanging with us, and we were excited to get back together today and do some recording, and so we're on every single platform that you can think of, and even YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube.
You can even find us on iHeartRadio
Yeah.
podcast platform. That's a pretty cool thing.
It's
So
Spotify. We're on
we're on Spotify. Yeah.
Google Podcast,
Yeah.
iTunes, you name it.
everything. So
I think we're on Stitch.
we are.
Yeah, we are. There's several. Let's just say that.
There's a bunch. But anyway, and always we want to remind you, everybody, to love God
And love people.